So my dear students and everybody, we are going to talk about computer-human interaction in our this class, and the main focus is going to be about evaluation of human-computer interaction designs and systems. So basically, when you talk about evaluation, is one of the most important part of HCI, because it tells us whether our designs are actually working for the people we have designed for. That's why you find that most of the gadgets, they come with feedback. Even an app designed, at the end they ask you to rate it. For some of you, you have been using these gadgets and they always ask you. So by the end of this class or lecture, we shall understand why, what, where, and when to evaluate. And you will be able to describe the different evaluation methods, both expert and user-based. So that's our main concept. This is our outline. As I've already talked about it, evaluation through expert analysis, evaluation using a user participation. These are some of the key things. So when you bring them together, they will help you to do a very fitting evaluation for every stage that you go on to when you're designing. So from the scratch up to the level of implementing your system. So let's go to the introduction to understand what does it mean. Okay, so imagine that you designed an app for teenagers. Okay, you're going to share some music, pictures. You have created a prototype. It looks great to you as a developer, but how do you know that it will actually appeal to users? Will they be happy with when they're using it? Will they find it interesting, easy to use, or it is boring? These are some of the pertinent questions as a developer you ask yourself, okay, when you design a system. So the only way to find it is to evaluate it, okay, by testing it, collecting data from the real world or from the potential users. So it is always very important to involve. So evaluation, we integrate different processes together, and then we easily come up with a very fine system. So someone asks you, what is evaluation? In evaluation, as you have already seen, that when you talk about evaluation, here basically you're talking about an integral part of designing process. So it involves in collecting, analyzing data about the user's experience while interacting with that particular gadget. Okay, so when they are interacting with it, automatically we tell you. Okay, so basically it will focus on the usability and the user experience, how enjoyable they have found it. Okay, so in short, evaluation tells you whether our design actually meets their needs when they use it. Okay, so there are different key goals of evaluation. Basically, three main goals of evaluation. Number one, it is about functionality. To access functionality, does the system do what it's supposed to do? To access the user experience, to identify the usability problems. These are the key main goals was why we evaluate our system. So the method you choose depends on which of those goals you want to achieve, okay, as a developer. Okay, then the question comes in, why evaluation? Why evaluate? So basically, why evaluation is so important? Because the user experience affects everything, from the customer satisfaction, being satisfied with it, to the business success, well-designed system sells itself. If you have a well-designed system, automatically it will be sellable by everybody. Everybody will want it. So a bad one automatically drives away the users. So evaluation allows us to detect user early or issues early before they become very expensive to fix. Okay, you test a car before you sell it. Okay, so that it is enjoyable to the client that you have given it to. Another point, what to evaluate? That is the next question that you ask yourself. What are you going to evaluate? Basically, you are going to evaluate, it could be evaluated using different aspects. So what to evaluate ranges from the low-tech prototype to a complete system. Okay, a simple paper prototype, you may be evaluating it, a specific screen or a workflow or a fully functioning system. That's what you may be interested to evaluate as a developer. Examples are many, okay, that you can look at. You have developed an app, and these are just examples. Okay, you try to evaluate the system like a passport system. People have evaluated it in Uganda. That you go to get a passport, you find that the process is a little bit now very easy via the internal affair. Okay, so you may evaluate. So evaluation applies to everything from games, funny games, to life-saving systems. Okay, so all that is very important when you're evaluating. So where to evaluate? The location of evaluation depends on your goals. Okay, if you need control, search, testing, accessibility, you can use a lab if you want to control that evaluation. Okay, but if you want to see how people behave in real life, you go in the field and then find out. You go in the field and then find out how people are interacting with the system. So it depends on what you feel safe with. So if you're testing student toys or children toys, you'll get a better results by observing kids playing at home or at school rather than just going formal in the lab. It won't help you. So you try to use such aspects when you are evaluating. Okay, so when to evaluate? Evaluation can happen at any stage of designing. Okay, when it happens during development, okay, that is the formative evaluation when it happens during evaluation, when it happens during development. When it happens after the product is completed, that is summative evaluation. You sum up everything together. So you can use those two criteria. As you are developing, you can evaluate. Formative. Then once you have completed the product, you can evaluate. You sum up everything and then you do the evaluation. So we have approaches that we use when we are evaluating. We talked about them from the beginning, that we have evaluation, we have two broader evaluation approaches: expert analysis and the user participation. Okay, that makes those are the two aspects where you can use experts to do for you the evaluation. Okay, so to analyze deeply about these user the expert analysis, the overview, this happens throughout the designing process. The main goal here is to identify the problems before implementing, trying to fix the design issues early. It is also very important and is much cheaper than doing it at the end. So since user testing can be costly, expert analysis offers the fast, okay, and affordable way to catch the usability problem. Within the experts, you go on testing your processes, you give to one another, how is it performing, how is it working, and then you have it done. There are different 4 approaches as experts they can go through to walk through to manage and if work through. Okay, then heuristic evaluation. Okay, use of models. Okay, or use of previous work. These are aspects like previous studies based evaluation, model based evaluation, heuristic evaluation, or cognitive walk through. These are methods that you can use. So let us go through some of these approaches. Number 1, this approach is adopted from software engineers in code walkthrough. That is when you are coding. Okay, you take step through the code. Okay, what you step through the user action to complete the task. You try to look at how interactive it is. Okay, used to test the learnability, how people will learn it, how easily people will learn, how people will figure out when they're using it. Okay, so it is very important, that aspect, that it comes out very well, this approach. Okay, to perform it you need 4 things. Among these 4 things that you need when you're performing it, number 1, the prototype itself. You need a detailed system so that you can look at that system and then it helps you to design accordingly. Okay, a description of the user task. These are very important. You need to describe the user task. Okay, another point, it is about number 3, it is about a step-by-step list of action. Okay, another approach that you can use, information about the target users. So evaluators then step through each action and identify the usability problems. So that is the stages that you can take when you're trying to find out how you can effectively solve this problem. These are questions that you ask yourself. Okay, the 4 key questions that you ask yourself: is it effective? Is the effect of the action the same as the user goal? These are questions that you ask yourself. Another question that you can ask yourself, okay, will the user see that the action is available? Okay, will the user recognize it as the right one option to use? Okay, after doing it, will the user understand the feedback? These are questions which are very pertinent to ask yourself as an expert, and then your system will come through. Then another point that you need to look at within the same walkthrough, it is the documentation samples. It is always very important to document every finding in your lab. So each action should have a short form of describing what worked and what went wrong. Okay, for example, if a submission button is not feasible, note it down. Or if a feedback message is not clear, you record that one too. So documentation guides you in improving the stages of your work up to the completion. So it is always very important to have different stages being recorded. Okay, so that is what we ask ourselves. Okay, thank you very much, and then we shall continue to the next part.